Welcome, 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 everybody, especially you, sir, that likes to legalize natural marijuana. It's another episode of Cannabis Legalization News. We had a huge week of news in what is the cannabis industry. Not all of it was good, unfortunately. Most of it was not good. So we have some DEA news because of the rescheduling, who's in, who's out, what's going to be happening to it. The farm bill from the Senate was released for what that's worth. There was also more DEA news about them conspiring with doing ex parte communications. We'll discuss that. We have lawsuit news out of Minnesota. We have a lot of other news as well. So let's just get right into it. And if you are joining us for the first time, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to Cannabis Legalization News as we bring you the news of the week on our live shows on Sunday. And we'll have more shows pretty soon because we'll have our own dispensary to fund our crap. Let's bring on Miggy.
Hey, legalizers roll out.
That's right. Oh man, speaking of legalizers rolling out, that was the big news, was the farm bill from the Senate. We were waiting on that for forever, and it took until after the election. It took until the Democrats got completely whomped in the election, so they are no longer this. What they're releasing here may not be the operative farm bill language that gets passed because it might be too soft on high hemp, but it cuts high hemp out in the sense that it changes delta 9 to total THC, and it keeps it at 0.3%. Also make sure to expressly reference THCA. And then there's a split in the definition. So you're going to have hemp, and then you're going to have industrial hemp. So the industrial hemp is going to not be able to be processed. No extracts from industrial hemp, which will be really, really interesting. But this doesn't match what the Congress said, and the Congress was already controlled by Republicans. The Democrats had a 50-50 with presidential candidate. She lost, but Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote. You don't need a tie-breaking vote after, what is it, January 3rd, or is it January 20th? I think January 20th is just the president that gets sworn in that day. The Congress, I think, gets sworn in January 3rd through the first week of January. So that this isn't going to pass. Like, the farm bill is not going to pass in this lame duck session, but they have shown their cards, and these were the Democrats. Some of the people in the hemp industry think that it may mean that some of the extracts would continue. I find that hard to believe, simply because they're saying if it's industrial hemp, you can't extract it. If it's not industrial hemp, you can extract it. But then they've really tightened the belt as to the THCA, Delta 8, those types of loopholes, and kind of shut it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
You say the loophole or whatever, but I mean, how is this going to be enforced, right? Like, does it put authority behind people to arrest people for the high hemp stuff, right? Because now we're just getting back to cannabis again, right?
What? Well, if again, that's some more of the news that we can talk about. There's a new attorney general nomination, so Matt Gaetz isn't going to be in charge anymore. So you don't know if it's going to go to Schedule 3. It may not go to Schedule 3 because the person that Trump has nominated, I can't remember her name. What is Bondi?
Pam Bondi.
Pam Bondi. All right. Well, we'll get to Pam Bondi then. She is no friend to legal cannabis. She campaigned against legalizing it. She campaigned against medical, and she's quite anti-drug abuse. So maybe that'll be really bad for hemp, simply because hemp is more dangerous than natural government-regulated cannabis that has recall authority and testing requirements.
Well,
so we'll see.
Do we need a farm bill to be more enforceable on the high hemp type scenario, right? Does there need to be a new?
You need a different definition, yeah. And so there will be a different definition of hemp, and so you are going to see hemp not continue as it has been for the past 5 years.
Well, I'm still confused by the how it shifts from 0.3 and then the total THC limit is 0.3. Like it's
Right.
still such a low number, such a
Right.
low
And it's still,
non-existent.
it's not discussing the usage of it. And so,
Yeah.
like, cannabinoid product is this new term that they haven't made into law yet, but they want to make into law. So cannabinoid product might become a new term. But then you have the FDA and the DEA are the two regulating authorities that are here. And so once it's
Mhm.
descheduled, it's out of the DEA's jurisdiction and gets into the FDA's jurisdiction. RFK is going to come by and fire everybody in the FDA. So, and
I,
then Pam
oh,
Bondi is
man.
going to be like, I hate drug abuse. Go DEA, go get them. So what are they going to do? Are they just going to say, like, here's hemp. If you go over the line, it's marijuana. That's Schedule 1. We'll be kicking down your door.
And then like the next step would be like to go after the states, right? I mean, wouldn't that be like states are already breaking the federal law technically? Like you can still crack down on this if they wanted to, right? This could be a thing where
But there's no political appetite for it. They know
right,
that political suicide to do. And so they
but
won't do that.
it should be the same though on creating any sort of like proper structure for this plant, right? Like
They just don't care about it. Like, that's the thing. And so, like, 80% of people don't use the plant. 80% of people don't give a shit about it. They all look down on us. They think it's not a real issue. There's other more important things to be talking about. So it's always just kind of wait your turn, and they never get to you. And so then they politicize it as well
right.
because, well, Democrats, they want to legalize it with social equity, and Republicans are like, that's racist. You shouldn't do that. You should just make it all free and low taxes. And so then you have, well, we both agree that we're going to legalize it. We just don't understand how we're going to do it.
I and that's I think the big problem for me is every pick that Trump has made so far in any uh authority with cannabis. Like for instance, they recently had an appointee for the VA, and this guy was against rescheduling it. So I don't know if there's going to be any more progress, right? Because like you said, this whole rescheduling thing can be done. Shot, done. We're done. Now we just gotta sit in our hands for 4 years and hope like something happens that like a miracle. I just don't think rescheduling will happen with this guy. Nor do I
It's
think like
Bondi. And so, like,
yeah,
the new attorney general, and I'm not sure if, do we put her up pretty close? No. That's how much news came in. Oh, there it is. Trump's new attorney general. And she's all the way down, like, buried at minute 41.
yeah.
We might want to pull her up a little bit simply because it's already relevant. That's the Florida's AG Bondi. She opposed efforts to legalize weed in most recently, and she also did not like medical weed. And then in 2018, as Attorney General, filed briefs defending the legislature's ban on smoking weed, medical weed, which lost, and that's why you can have smokable flower now in Florida, because she said it harms patients and those exposed to secondhand smokes, has ample reasons to exclude smoking from the statutory definition of medical use. Is that going to be a thing, or is she going to try to, like, ban weed nationwide by using Schedule 3 to say Schedule 3 does not include smoking flower? It just includes, like, vapes and tinctures and dosed requirements. Or, it's rescheduling needs the attorney general. If the attorney general tells the DEA boss what to do or fires the DEA boss, it's not
Yeah.
like it's the person that's in charge of the Fed. You're in charge of the DEA. You serve the president's preference, or the preference of the president, or
Well,
I can't remember
wouldn't
that turn of phrase, but the president can let him go or
right?
tell the attorney general what they want him to do. And so that's what Biden did. I don't think Trump cares about weed. I think Trump will
No.
say popular shit to get elected.
Well, I mean that's already proven. But the thing I think for any progress, and this probably is the miracle. This is the Hail Mary, where maybe if somehow someone with like deep pockets and gets Trump's ear, right? Because that we already know how this guy operates. It's a reactive administration where it's like, oh, this is popular. This is gonna make me, stop sending out those checks. I need to put my name on it. This is how this guy operates. So maybe someone forward with rescheduling happens, but the farm bill is definitely not going to happen, right? Because this is a democratic language type thing that was developed, right? So there's no Republican version of it.
The farm bill will definitely happen because farmers, $0 of the farm bill gives a shit about hemp. $0. And like, they have not enforced the DEA testing requirements. That may change. They may start enforcing the DEA testing requirements, and that's how they pop hemp, because dangerous drugs and whatnot, according to Florida's AG Pam Bondi. And so that could really happen. But the farm bill always has to happen because it's not about hemp. It's about the food supply. It's like $1.5 trillion. And so there was a problem with what the Democrats wanted and what the Republicans wanted for SNAP, which I believe stands for snacks. And that's both the S and the N and the A, and then program. No, that's not.
Yeah,
that's not what it changes. That's not what it stands for at all. Program might still be the P, but that is the food program for the poor, and food subsidies so that they can eat. The Democrats wanted X billion. The Republicans wanted Y billion. Now the Democrats and the Republicans don't need to make a deal. The Republicans can just say what they want, and as a result, you can also then surmise that they would cut the SNAP benefits and then adopt the House's version of the definition of hemp that completely kills the less safe cannabinoids that are just everywhere and pervasive in the United States today, and getting a whole bunch of people high safely. Probably not as safely, definitely not as safely as like the weed that you could buy in Arkansas from a medical dispensary, or in Illinois, or in Missouri, soon in Minnesota.
Well, fingers crossed. I just think though, that the consumer's losing out on this plant, right? Like, if you want real weed, if you want real cannabis, real good weed, you have to get it from a state-run market now. I mean, that's just the way, because there's a lot of checks and balances on these grows now. There is a lot of slippage, and there's something later on I like to talk about if we have time. But when you used to get weed from the guy, and sometimes you're like, that shit was fire, it was grown properly. Other times, as an asthmatic, maybe I've had like problems breathing from street weed. So like, if there's no recourse for you to go, hey man, this one made me feel this way, more harms are done. Right. So like, I think with the Delta 9 THC, the loophole thing that's been going on for past 4 years, 5 years, you think? What was the last part? The 2020s when the hemp farm bill came through, right? So 4 years.
18. So like Donald Trump signed it in Christmas of 18. Yeah. The first year, nobody grew THCA hemp. They grew Trump, they grew AC/DC, they grew the wife, they grew all sorts of type 3 cannabis, 20-to-1 ratios of CBD to THC, because they thought they could sell the CBD flower. Right. They realized they were fucking wrong. The next year, they started doing chemistry. That chemistry has not tested. It's not safe. And then that's like Delta 8 THC. They go, oh, that's naturally occurring. It occurs in a trace amount. Like if something is 1% THC, and that's nothing, it would be like 1,000% Delta 8. So all this Delta 8 shit is made in the lab. It's not.
No, it's all poo poo, but it's also like it's misinforming the getting consumer, right? Like, if you're a trucker or you have a job under like a government contract and you're taking this legal hemp, it could still pop positive. Like, you'll lose your job, you'll lose your rights. So, legalization means you have rights, right? Legalization means that you're going to be protected.
Or Schedule 3.
Yeah, that's at the
it
whole
means
point
it's medical. Yeah, it means that it's medical. So we can get to our next story about the DEA, but
Well,
pretty soon we're going to take a small break. And
yeah.
maybe the most important thing is to just kind of be like, I don't know what's going to happen in now. I know what's going to happen. We are going to take a short commercial break because it's 20 past the hour. And when we get back, we will talk about the DEA, no one's favorite topic. But before we get into that bad news, here's some good news. You can come see Miggy and I over at the MJBizCon. That is December 3rd through the 6th in the Las Vegas Convention Center, a building so large you won't believe it's a building. And we'll be hanging out with Mita at the Manufacturers Pavilion doing interviews. I got to figure out the interviews that we want to do. I worked on briefs instead this past weekend, and so like work, this is our hobby. That's the weird thing. Like, people are so spoiled by YouTubes. They're like, don't you guys get paid for this? No.
Dude, the monetization is what, $200 a month? I mean, that pays for
it's
a
like
server.
$200 a month. Yeah, right. Wait. It's paying for our web hosting, but that's really it. But yeah, anyway, the DEA also had a pretty big story that happened this week, a couple of them, because the rescheduling is going on and they've gotten administrative law judges in and they want to have an evidentiary hearing for it.
Yes.
They had until November 12th to get in why they have standing, and the administrative law judge really zeroed in as to why you would be negatively impacted by the rescheduling, and as a result, it effectively cleared the decks of anybody who's in support of rescheduling being at the evidentiary hearing, with one small exception. The National Cannabis Industry Association used a two-prong approach, and what the first prong, it was like, no, this won't help you, because most of its members would be benefited by rescheduling because of taxes and easier access to the medical research and whatnot. However, some of its members would still be negatively impacted because of the disparate, that means different, treatments of THC under federal law, one for hemp and then one for Schedule 3 marijuana, which really doesn't make a lot of sense when we think about the same chemical, not like a difference, like the same chemical, the same source, it's the same thing, and it's regulated under two completely different things, like one as Schedule 3 and one as an unscheduled not drug. And so that would hurt it if it was rescheduled to Schedule 3. That one won. Sorry, Shane Pennington. His client did not establish standing because they wanted to use the reduction to Schedule 3 to be able to do more research and access more markets. So that's the thing. You had to show why you were harmed. We talked about this. That was one of the things that you had to do to establish standing, show how you were harmed. And so now, like Sam though got into smart approaches for marijuana, I believe is what that is, right? Sam, Sam, Kevin Sabat. Hey, wait. Let's use Kevin. Kevin Sabat never gets this treatment, and he doesn't deserve it. But likes and subscribes for Kevin Sabat. Don't forget to tune in. We will be roasting Kevin Sabat on a weekly basis. You can give us the likes, leave us a comment, leave us in the live chat why you think Kevin Sabat is a dreamboat, or probably somebody who's making money off of mandatory drug rehab. And so when you're sentenced to mandatory drug rehab, Sam gets his wings and they make a couple of bucks. They would be negatively impacted if it goes to Schedule 3, because that sweet, sweet gravy train that they get because of the regulations would go away. And so like all of the people on the list that were like, I hate weed, and liberalizing weed would hurt my business or hurt the cops in Tennessee, they all established standing. Everybody who said I want it because it'd be good, nobody is going to be allowed to they can participate, they can't testify. Some can't
crazy.
participate even. Well, it was a 47-page opinion, and you just kind of go
Right.
through it, and let that be a lesson to you. If you're trying to get into an evidentiary hearing for rescheduling, whatever particular thing, only focus on the negative and how it hurts you. That's going to be a fucked up hearing. We're just going to hear, it's going to be the think of the children hearing, because there's going to be nobody arguing against them.
That's part of the asinine part of this whole process, right? This is why we don't have nice things. Why is this judge anti-weed, right? Because that's what you're creating, right? Like you said, you're just creating a one-side argument. But like, it's disheartening to see this, right? Because that is the harm, is the law itself, and what's been going on. This is why the process is so infuriating, because I think people forget that Kevin Sabat, was on Obama's fucking drug administration, right? Like, there are career people who just want to milk the damn system of like not even having like real results, not even having like finding the cure for cancer. Then the Susie Corman Foundation closes, right? Like, what? These guys don't have no real intention to create. They're always gaslighting, right? Like, oh, big tobacco, you don't want big marijuana. Yeah. Like, there's no real.
But if this is how dirty the fucking system is for weed, and nobody gives a shit about weed, imagine how dirty the system is for healthcare. Imagine how dirty the system is for bombs. Imagine how dirty the system is for the transportation, for shit people use every day. If we get this kind of chicanery when it comes, or like the dairy industry or food, that's one of the reasons why we're going to get another farm bill. It isn't, they don't care about you, hemp. Read any agricultural periodical about the farm bill and do a control F for the word hemp. It will not come up.
But within the new guidelines, if they do redefine hemp, though, it will, right? I mean, isn't that how? No, I get the rest of
it. It's such an esoteric crop. It would be like, how come petunias isn't coming up in this farm bill? Because it's not relevant. And so, like, that's just the thing. Like, when you are talking about the farmers and the farm bill to them, none of it has to do with hemp. It all has to do with SNAP benefits and then how much they're going to get for their subsidies payments to the farmers. True. That's it. And so, like, things are more expensive than they were 6 years ago, and I'm sure farmers would want a change to that so that they could get an inflation adjustment for whatever subsidy payments they were getting through the 2018 Farm Bill that needs to be updated to reflect 2024 prices.
Well, I mean, the way America has been based off agriculture, right? And unfortunately, though, there's been this imbalance where you have like the honest, like, one farmer family farms, right? But now, really, there's only like 2 or 3 real big corporations, right?
That's what hemp is. That's what weed's going to be. Yeah. And so, yeah, you're right. Like, one of the funny, insights of the agricultural industry, because I'm here from Peoria, Illinois. Oh my God, there are cornfields outside my back door. It's amazing. And then the other side, soybeans. But it's like 64% of Iowa does not have a mortgage. So like that much farm ground, just just land with money. Because if you didn't have a mortgage on your shit and your shit was worth $1 million, you got $1 million.
Yeah. Well, these are just established, businesses, right? Like, I mean, like the Central America has always been, the Midwest has been like but most of our groceries actually now come from Mexico. Like, most people think like, oh, America, we're all like so like pro farmer, but no, we're fucking up, and it's bad, right? Like there's farms in there's rules in Idaho or Ohio where you can't film like like, I get it. If you don't want to see how your meat's made, fucking don't look at it. But like there's practices.
You could also just not eat it, but that's
exactly though. But I'm just saying there's practices being done for business that eventually, when you serve mass populations, right? Like we call it humanity, I guess, for lack of a better word, because
the people.
Yeah, well, people picture farming like a small person serving. Like
people were trying to picture like cannabis as wellness. And then like a lot of people just want to look at THC and price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we get
This is
to
going to get me fucked up. Yep. And look how powerful it is. Like, if you think it's not about THC levels, go to a smoke shop that sells IHDs, intoxicating hemp derivatives, and then look at how they are advertising how much, who the heck knows what is in this product and how it's going to get you high. I mean, then Pegasus Delta 8 THC. What the hell is that? That is puffery. That is just made up shit. Speaking of made up shit, Pennsylvania's and we got that is Chief
this is the
Administrative Law
DA.
Judge Mulrooney. Yeah, we already tore through his ass.
Well, no, this is different though.
He's doing a good job though. You know,
but there's two DA stories, right? Because there's the one where DA judge probes allegations of illegal talks with marijuana.
We covered them both. But
like,
we discussed how and so like the DEA judge is also like, hey. He's not a DEA judge. He's an administrative law judge that's overseeing the evidentiary hearing for the rescheduling process. He's doing his freaking job, and he's probably paid like $225,000 a year to do it. Right. And so like he is keeping the DEA in a short leash as well. I kind of touched on this earlier, where they were doing ex parte communications, trying to drag their feet and say like, we don't have to do this, do we? And so that like Ann Milgram was like, Pam Bondi, please. Pam, how's it going? So we don't have to do this DEA hearing stuff anymore with like the rescheduling, right? Because she was not going to call Matt Gaetz on that.
No, but like, because I mean, this is kind of like a kerfuffle of also. This is him investigating where they've already limited people who can be vocal at the hearing, right? Is this the same judge who created that? And then he's also saying, "Wait, I'm going to investigate whether prohibitionists have been." Having backdoor conversations
as part of the same legalized rescheduling, and so they are doing administrative rulemaking in real time, and there's a judge involved. Like when the state does administrative rulemaking here, and like Minnesota still hasn't gotten theirs done, but like the state just changed the definition of hemp, and they've changed a whole bunch of rules for dispensaries in Illinois this past year.
Yeah,
it's great. It's just like farting out new law, and you're like, duh, told you, you're not supposed to do that. But it
just seems to me that those two motions of constricting prohibitionists, but also investigating whether they're speaking, it's like he's a double-edged sword, right? Like he's doing one proactive thing, good for the law process, but also being shitty about limiting who can speak. You know what I mean? Like. How is it? What are these guys smoking? That's one of my questions. I want to smoke their weed. Is what I'm trying to get at. Because
okay, we're going to need to get you a lot more money and power. And so, like, first, we need to create a Miggy. How would you like a super PAC? Okay, and so that super PAC then stands for doing things that make sense. Common sense fund. And so, like, Miggy, you are going to have a new super PAC. We're going to call it Common Sense Fund. Policy that makes sense will be its tagline. And we will launder money through it legally and according to the rules, every single freaking one of them. But the money will go in, and then you try to get votes about particular things. They call this democracy. And it'll be like a lot of fun for you.
I am not above legal money laundering. But yeah, Pennsylvania.
It's not money laundering, it's lobbying.
Oh, my bad.
The money goes in, you buy commercials. I mean, the best example of this is probably what Elon Musk did getting Donald Trump elected. You spend $100 million, you make $15 billion.
Fuck.
If you have $100 million, you would do that every effing day of the week. You're telling me I spend $100 million, I make this guy win, he changes the rules, and I make $15 billion? I'm in. You know what? I'm in so much, I'm going to give people $1 million for registering to vote. And he fucking did that. And everybody's like, I like him. He makes rockets.
Shit, we are in such a fucking ride, dude, for the next 4 years. Just stand by.
All right. You know. And I tell you, SpaceX, strapping you to it since 2018. So name that strain would be something we can kind of cheer ourselves up on, because we have some bad news out of Pennsylvania. So we'll look at some weed and talk about bad news out of Pennsylvania.
Hell yeah.
Bueller. There we are. Yeah, Pennsylvania. This is the problem. Recreational marijuana bill faces legislative impasse. It's a red state and it is a swing state. Did you notice that like most swing states, with the exception of Michigan, have not legalized it? What? Arizona and Vegas. And so like West Coast conservatives are personal freedom, like type of conservatives. They don't like judgment and shit. But then you get out in the Midwest and you're not supposed to do that, sir. And so we have more judgy people here. The swing states in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin have not legalized. Michigan is probably a little bit more personal freedom style of, or like business style of conservative.
Yeah.
Like they have in the
weird,
West.
dude.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Like these purple states who you would think were like people you would have more things in common with. So therefore, let's fucking legalize it. But everybody thought California was going to legalize it. Prop 64 the first time, or whatever the first one was, and then Hemp didn't legalize it. Prop 215 was a gateway to like, this is not a horrible thing.
Yeah, in the 90s.
Yeah, fucking long time, dude. But I didn't know Pennsylvania.
Nothing in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania House Bill 2500 was stalled, and the legislative session ends on November 30th. 20% excise tax, hopefully to make $250 million of revenue. Josh Shapiro and the gang in Pennsylvania are going to have to try again next year. But back to what we're fighting for. Let's talk about that strain. What is the who are the parents? Who's
That'd
the
be Mob Boss and Dagwood.
Mob Boss and Dagwood.
This is a dynamic sativa. Dynamic.
I've never had either Mob Boss or Dagwood. And I live in a legal state. Do I really? Alien Nuts. I like that. That's great.
I like that. No, it is not, but that's a great name. Is that a real name? Shit.
Can be.
So close. It's not Dag Boss. Oh, we
got a sour, gassy aroma. Somebody got it?
Christopher Brady. What up, yo?
Brady.
Happy late birthday.
Frozen Boss. Frozen Boss. It doesn't even say, or it says Terrapin. Like, this Maryland? Or like the station?
Station. Well, it's a I Heart Jane. I don't know. But it's a sour, gassy aroma that is rich and alluring. Offers an experience like no other. It's just good weed, I hope. It all comes down to how it's grown.
It's genetics and how well it's grown, and then cured, and then the supply chain, and then how fresh it is. It is a perishable commodity when it is in that style. You're way more shelf stable when you are in distillate or like a vape or a edible than when you are in the flower.
Sure, but you're talking about byproducts of the flower itself, which I always find it funny when you see analytics of like for stores, because now as we're getting more involved into like the actual industry and being part of the fucking market and everything, analytics are real, right? Analytics are important, and I just always find it interesting. Shit, man, I already forgot where I was going with that, dude.
Have you been smoking on that Frozen Boss again?
I might have had a little one too many already.
One too many of those Frozen Bosses. Well, we are getting into the industry, and tomorrow I got to talk to a bank about it. And so, like, if that goes well, we'll have more on the process. Maybe next week. So next week is our last show before we go to MJBiz. Probably also the last vestige of the long hair. I'm gonna have short hair next year, so I'm gonna start that with MJBiz.
Nice.
Look like RFK, except not that old.
But and then you won't talk like that.
I'm gonna try to talk like that.
come Tuesday.
Minnesota. Hey,
got the-
that's one of the things. Like we're kind of getting into it now, but we are not getting into it like if we were in Minnesota. And so that's the nice thing. Like we are past this bull crap lawsuit period in Illinois. And the bull crap lawsuit period happens in many states when they first start legalizing. It happens in many states. I'm very impressed when the state avoids it. Usually you get drawn into a protracted litigation when you start up, and then you fix it for the next round. So like Miggy and I are in the round from that one. So that, it's kind of fixed. There's some lawsuits involved. One of them involves me because oops, I helped somebody out. That'll be dismissed though here pretty quick. And so like the state they understand the scams that are going on, and then they start changing the game, which is hilarious. You're dealing with like the state, and so they literally made the law. Like you're playing by their rules as an derogation of common law, which nobody watching really even cares about. But just saying that they have really bad law in Minnesota. They have like due process free law, which is hilarious. Like I want to hey, you got a lottery next week, right? Like I got a lottery. I got Kentucky on Monday. You got Minnesota on Tuesday.
Yes. 2 chances.
Go Kentucky. Go Minnesota.
Kentucky too.
Yeah.
Oh man, but none of this is fair. That's part of the problem. Why this needs to be federally legalized, right? Like
it's a privilege. Is it fair to own the casino on the Strip in Vegas? Is that fair?
Well, I'm not saying.
When has life ever been fair? It doesn't say fairness for everybody. It says freedom.
I get that part, but like you're saying, these rules are being. Like you said you already passed the lawsuit portion of it, right? Washington State never experienced that for whatever reason. I think because of it being such a new thing.
You guys went with the lottery first, and so like you guys are the OG of the lottery. To be entirely fair, like there were 2 stripes of cannabis applications going on: the merit-based and the lottery. And lotteries really came out of your state, maybe of Washington State. That's one of the reasons they were able to avoid a lot of the litigation that happened in like California or in Illinois or in any of the highly crazy states where it's like 4 companies that do it and that's it, and then like you had to have a phone book. So like the applications that we had 5 years ago in Illinois were phone books. They're like 350 pages. And so they just made it so hard that the only people who can get it are rich, and then they just pick whoever their buddies are, and you have to fight City Hall. So it's like you're so rich, you have to hire somebody to write you a phone book, and then you lose because the state doesn't give a shit, and they will say whoever they want to have get it, and then you have to sue them, and they're still. And so I have 6 out of the next 13 craft grows are our clients, and so I'm wondering if I need to make a motion to the state for partial remand, and I'm like, I'm not even going to start researching that now. Like this is their bus. We've already won, but I don't want somebody to go try to appeal us while we've already won.
Well, that's the lawyer side of things. But when it comes to like the fairness side, like we still didn't even Washington State was a rich person's or someone well to do, right? Because like when I initially wanted to, I was like, fuck yeah, legal weed. I want to apply. I want to be part of this new thing. But we had to own property. There was criteria that I just didn't have, right? Like when we won our license in Illinois. It was the criteria was like the getting arrested and having 250 for the processing fee and all the forms. That was the criteria. But when Washington State started, the very first state to legalize it, along with Colorado, you had to have deep pockets. You had to have excess cash where you could.
We still have to have deep pockets.
Well, of course, but the one thing that I think like you negate is like because the process. A lot of people lost their asses right? And that's
Right.
just kind of the risk of business. But also in the early times of recreational legalization, people with money were not investing in people for their dreams, right? This was not a. It was a very big risk. People were holding on tight, right? And then eventually, you get the MedMens and you get the. I mean, how the fuck do you lose $1 billion? I'll never understand, because fundamentally we're just gonna be doing a store. It's a fucking store. This is a product, a commodity.
Okay. I will do a presentation, but not any actual follow-up as to how to lose $1 billion like MedMen did, because that is just terrible at business. And so it is a cautionary tale. We could do presentations on cautionary tales to avoid and mitigate those practices. But
No, for sure.
losing that money, you can do it. I can show you how to do it.
I could do it. You get to my wife.
That's funny. But whatever. This is a hard rollout. And right now the point is Minnesota's having a hard rollout.
Yeah.
You are one of 33% of the applicants who got in.
But each parts of these states are going to have these fucked up periods until there's a federal legalization.
2/3 of the applicants were disqualified.
And it was like paperwork issues, right? Or was it
we did the paperwork for you, and 75% of our applications got in. So like, here's the base rate of 33%. Collateral base is at 75. You can pick who you want to help you get these licenses.
Yeah,
we kind of say that you should probably use us because we don't do any funny stuff. A lot of people do funny stuff. And so you have to understand, these are in derogation of common law. There ain't no funny stuff. There's what the law says. That's it. If it doesn't say it, it don't exist.
These are just like processes that we have to go through individually. I mean, I have a chance to win this license, right? Like with your help, it'll be like cool to like be at a position of like, okay, do we sell it, or do you
you have to do the capital raise, and so there would, but again, this is all speculative, and so this is the other weird thing. Minnesota, again, they've written a statute that does not have due process. So there was a 2/3 chance that you'd just be disqualified, and so that happened to 2 and 3 applicants in Minnesota. They have no recourse. They paid $5,000, $1,000, whatever the application fee was. They set up an LLC. They thought about it. They dreamed about it. They did probably spend, maybe somebody talked them into a trademark package for $2,000 to protect it so nobody stole their freaking ideas, because they loved that idea. That was their baby, their little thing that they could have. No recourse. It's literally in the law where it says if you are disqualified by the regulator, it's unappealable. It is unappealable, which again, that is not how due process works. Due process is notice and a reasonable opportunity to be heard. This was notice and no opportunity to be heard. And it's done just like they're doing right now with rewriting to Schedule 3, or they've done in Illinois where they rewrite rules and they change definitions, or like they're doing with the Farm Bill. That's actually legislation, so that is slightly different. But you're talking about rules that are being changed by the administrators who are charged with overseeing this program by the enabling statute passed by the legislature. Yeah. Sexy ass shit. Hey, let's do another likes and subscribe for that. That's right. But
all of this layered process, which obviously Minnesota did not get to do fair due process, like you're saying, but the process itself is just so, like, for us in Illinois, right? Like, legalization is not a fast turnkey thing, or
no,
because it's
we applied almost 2 years ago.
Yeah. But part of that was because it took them a year to issue the license, right? And then another 6 months.
They were promulgating rules, like they saw chicanery happening, and so they're like, publish the rules. And so then they timed issuing the licenses for the rules becoming finalized the next 3 months. so that when the chicanery really starts, shut it down. But we have some chicanery in Minnesota on the regulators' part. They're like, they're zone flooders and all these other things that are not in the law. And then the law also says if there's a deficiency in your application, you get a 10-day. Again, it gets back to that due process. You get notice and a reasonable opportunity to be heard. It's like, hey, this wasn't right with your application. Here's your notice. Here's 10 days or 14 to fix it. Every state kind of sets it at a different level. Kentucky was 10 days, Illinois is 10. I believe they gave them 14. Actually, it was 0 because nobody got the deficiency. Nobody. They sent out 300 deficiencies in October. The vast majority of people that I've talked to that were disqualified got 0 notice of deficiency. So they had a complete application. Again, then the state can change the rules and also fight you while, And so the other thing you have to understand is like there's a lot of these types of like you're trying to fight the state. Well, that might be your first fight against the state. The state has had to defend fights against it for decades. And they have lawyers that are career lawyers there. They have brief banks. They have data about how to defend this. So you might think that you'd be able to say that some statute is unconstitutional because it was so unfair. They've been fighting that lawsuit for decades, and they're ready for you to try to fight them. So it's really difficult.
Yeah, no, you're going to lose in the end, right?
Not always. We will. But,
I mean, as far as like if you're going to, like it's
you
kind
have
of
to
funny
understand what you're getting into. And like a lot of people don't understand what they're getting into. They oversimplify things. They think the rules don't apply to them. They think they can just do whatever and it's going to be okay.
Well, legalization too is it's a funny animal where, or rather the industry, the cannabis industry, where when there was no industry, the high times culture, supposedly, right? What is culture? There was this fight that people are trying to change a bad law. And what are you trying to change that law to? You're eventually going to have fucking people running businesses. And, it's not a thing about like a drum circle and everybody sharing weed or whatever. It's cool to do that. It's cool to like, give clones away. And there are those communities. People love this plant and should be able to experience it the way they want. But you're not going to get that without any form of federal, movement. And rescheduling is it. Show me anywhere else that something could happen, dude. Show me anywhere like with real intention for the citizen that there's a chance. I see selfishness.
Well, what do you think? What do you think about this MAPS program? This is one of your articles.
This is outstanding, dude. This is so. Good. This is like the process. Okay, so this is like the process. So MAPS is been a known institute, right? You have to know where to look for people you respect and are finding real knowledge, right? And then these guys, MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. They've been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration of Psychiatry Projects, has cleared the MAPS for a phase 2 study of smoked cannabis in veterans for the treatment of PTSD. Dr. Sue Sisley is now going to be able to use. She's been very well known for helping treat PTSD in veterans, and this is going to be a tool in her belt for the furtherance of like these are the real studies that are happening, right? When they say we need the studies, this is what you need to like. This is proactive for the people, and this would be great for the VA to like have something to point to and say yes, it is medicine for veterans. But yeah, this is amazing stuff with the FDA's approving. But of course, it had to go through a lawsuit. It had to get.
Yes. And so, like, we have to go through a lawsuit to even try to reschedule it. And everybody has got such vested interest in how it is already set up. Or when your state starts licensing something, that creates a new vested interest. And then hemp creates a vested interest with the people. So everybody is biased because their paychecks depend on it. Maybe one day we won't live in an age of scarcity where you have to pay your mortgage with little dollar credits. But until that day, people are going to be biased as shit.
Yeah, no, and that's the problem, right? This is why we're not getting real change for the plant, right? For policy federally, right? This is the selfishness where federally you could fix so much of our society's issues. You know, we got an article, and I just got to share the screen for who it's from. It's from the Tobacco Reporter. Like, there are industries of people
The
like
Tobacco Reporter, like,
beer mag
hey,
or whatever.
have
But yeah,
you renewed your subscription to the Tobacco Reporter? Because
I
you could
just
get great headlines like this: marijuana more popular in U.S. than cigarettes, according to a poll.
but the Tobacco Report. There are so many people that like make money at tobacco. There's a fucking website that someone decided that they're paying bills or something. I'd imagine, but like the
It's like
Tobacco Report.
Monthly is a magazine. You're like, really? Couch Monthly? Yeah.
But and then that's a very fear mongering article, right? Marijuana more popular in U.S. than cigarettes. Like, and they reference marijuana moment, but that's
Yep.
kind of like the website talking about the doomsday thing for their industry, correct? Right? Like that. It's pretty scary from
Worried
their
about it.
perspective.
They're
Yeah.
worried about it. And so, hey, I've saw some articles going around that the alcohol industry is worried about. This is just Perrier. So there's no CBD or THC in it, but it's bubbly water. And so bubbly water isn't really causing alcohol to shit its little pants, but those hemp drinks kind of are. And so they have
Mhm.
I don't have any in the actual notes for this week,
Mhm.
but I saw some of those articles going around saying that the alcohol industry is not really all that thrilled that these things are being sold.
What? People, like, again, back to the money, right? If hemping can just get well defined for protections for consumers, and then also people who are the farmers of the plant can post harvest regulate, you know, right? Like, ideally, that's what it
That
should be,
that
right?
No, that's okay. I
You don't think so?
this is literally how it happens for everything else, with the exception of alcohol. And so, like, we could, if they want to create a new regulator and put it into the ATF, they could do that. But then the FDA would still say what bourbon is. And so the FDA has like a list of what these things are. And then the regulating body has taxes for like proof liters. That doesn't sound right because this is America. It's probably proof gallons because that's not metric. And
Yeah.
so they have particular taxes that go, and there's three licenses. There's the distribution, the production, and the retail. And that retail, that could be like a liquor store, that could be a grocery store, that could be a state-owned liquor store, that could be a bar. And so each one of those is a retail license. Maybe that would be the future for us. But they don't necessarily have that with hemp. With hemp, they have the USDA. Here's what corn is. Here's
Yeah.
what hemp is. Right now, corn is a large part of bourbon, but then it's over in the FDA defining what like corn syrup is or what bourbon is. So the FDA needs to create definitionals. This may take legislation. So the Farm Bill legalized the agricultural commodity of hemp, but we still have not legalized the food of hemp, or we have
Yeah.
not legalized the smokables, or because like the tobacco and nicotine, electronic nicotine devices is under the jurisdiction of the FDA. The FDA has not embraced the cannabis plant in
Sure.
any respect, not marijuana, not hemp.
Well, and something else to think about, though, in this state of gas station weed that we're in right now, there's no barrier saying that this is all American hemp, right? There's no rule that says this. Who knows what's in your little gas station vapes? I mean, that's most likely being pressed hemp, right? Like, you know, probably the flower hemp most likely will be grown in the United States. I guess, I don't know. Canada sources more hemp to us than we do. So the fact that there is no real like uh, food traceability, right? Like knowing the farm, knowing the source it came from. The end consumer still loses here, big time, especially if it's a bad processed China hemp. Not saying all hemp from China is bad, but maybe, or South Africa or
Well,
whatever. Fuck.
There will soon be
Yeah.
tariffs on Chinese hemp, which is important. Tariffs on Chinese hemp, and no THC levels, but no, they 2025 going into it, and so that might be some of the stuff that we do over at MJBiz. This is pretty much
Yeah.
our show. Like we've been doing our kibitz for like the past hour. MJBiz will be here in about a week and a half. Then you can come see Miggy and I over at it. I should have a different haircut by then. This will be the end of the man bun. But there they are, moving the cannabis industry forward since 2011, according to them. This was a great time that we had last year. If you want to see the best video that you've never seen from us about MJBiz, you need to go watch Between Two Dolphins on our YouTube channel. It is the best, least watched video Miggy and I have done in the past year. We won't be doing one of those this year, but we're going to be creating new content with people on the stage that we'll be interviewing. And it'll probably be content like, what does 2025 have to bring? What does the Trump administration mean for cannabis? What will the Farm Bill in 2025 look like? Or what does hemp look like? Those types of broad contents, and we'll have good guests that we'll interview and do deep dives, and then we'll just kind of drip that out leading into 2025 after we get back from BizCon on December 6th.
No, looking forward to it, and I'm a pretty boring in person, but I'm looking forward to hanging out.
You know? Oh, it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited about tomorrow to see the additional developments.
Yes.
We haven't told the audience about so many things.
And stores getting closer of a reality, right? Like that's all it comes down to is like fuck, you win the thing, right? Everybody's like all excited for you, and they're like, oh, congrats to your deep pockets, and you're like, yeah, nothing fucking's happened yet. And then a year later, then they issue the license, and then another 6 months. That's fine. We're getting closer, and then we're excited to share this with everybody. And until next time,
Hey, and if you are a member, if you joined our channel, thank you. We put your name in the credits. Watch for yours.
Do it.